Tom had traveled for many months across the dark sea of stars. His ship, a small explorer vessel, moved silently through the endless night. The mission was simple. He was to search for new life and learn if humans could make friends among the stars. Tom carried no weapons of war, only tools, supplies, and his own curious mind. As his ship neared a glowing blue planet, the scanners lit up with signals. Strange patterns, unlike anything from Earth, filled the screen. The patterns repeated again and again, almost like music. Tom leaned closer and smiled. This was no empty world. Someone was calling. He guided the ship into the atmosphere, and light spread across his view. The land below looked like silver rivers stretched across green fields. In the distance, towers of glass rose high, shining in the sun. The towers curved like giant crystals, not built by human hands but something more graceful. His heart raced. He had found a city of another people. The ship landed on a smooth white platform near the edge of the city. At once, tall figures came forward. Their bodies glowed faintly, as if light lived inside them. Their faces were calm, their eyes bright and gentle. They moved with ease, their steps quiet, but each motion felt filled with power. Tom stepped out slowly, raising his hand in peace. He did not know their language, but he hoped they would see he came with no harm. The beings studied him in silence. Then one of them spoke in a voice that rang like clear water. The words were strange, yet Tom's translator worked quickly. "Welcome, traveler from the far sky," the being said. "We are the Orcs. You are the first of your kind to come here." Tom bowed his head. "I am Tom, a human from Earth. I thank you for your welcome." Among the group of Orcs, two stepped forward. Both were taller than Tom, yet their faces showed kindness. One was Myra. She wore silver armor that shone in the sun. Her stance was strong, and her eyes carried the look of one who had seen many battles. The other was Lyra. She wore no armor but instead carried a crystal device that pulsed with soft light. Her hands were stained with colors from her craft, and her eyes glowed with thought. Myra spoke first. "You have traveled far, human. Few dare to cross the stars. You are brave." Lyra followed, her voice softer but no less clear. "You must be curious as well, for only curiosity guides one so far. We welcome you, though our ways may seem strange." Tom felt both awe and nervousness. He had dreamed of meeting others beyond Earth, but now it was real. Two sisters of another world stood before him, both showing interest in him. He felt small but also honored. The city behind them called to him. Orcs moved through the shining streets, carrying tools, crystals, and weapons. Some flew on strange crafts that hovered without sound. Children played with glowing spheres that floated in the air. Everything seemed alive, filled with energy. Myra turned to him. "Come. You must see our city. Only then will you know who we are." Tom walked beside her, with Lyra close on his other side. As they moved, he noticed the clear difference between the sisters. Myra kept her eyes sharp on the streets, always aware of threats. Her every step showed discipline. Lyra, however, watched the buildings and machines with care. She touched walls, whispered to devices, and smiled when the machines answered her. They reached the heart of the city. A great tower stood there, larger than all the rest. It rose like a pillar of crystal fire, touching the clouds. At its base was a hall that glowed with inner light. Myra and Lyra led Tom inside. The hall was filled with Orcs, their forms shining like stars. At the center stood an elder whose glow was brighter than all. He raised his hand. "This is the human traveler," Myra said with pride. "He crossed the void and came here alone." The elder studied Tom, then spoke. "Human, you are welcome among us. But know this. To walk with us, you must learn our ways. You must choose whom you will walk beside. One will guide you, and through them, you will understand us." Tom felt a chill. He did not know this custom. He looked at Myra, strong and steady, and at Lyra, thoughtful and kind. Both sisters watched him with hope. He did not understand the weight of the choice, but he felt their eyes pressing on him. Before he could answer, the elder continued. "You will not be forced today. You may see our city, you may learn, but soon a choice will be asked of you. For the bond you form will not be a light one." Tom bowed. "I understand. I will respect your ways." The crowd murmured, and the elder nodded. Later, Myra led him to the training grounds at the edge of the city. Great towers stood with weapons of light, ready to defend against enemies. She showed him the warriors, tall Orcs with glowing blades, who moved in perfect lines. "We are the shield of our people," Myra said. "We stand ready against raiders from the dark. If you choose me, you will walk with strength. You will learn the ways of battle and honor." Tom listened and nodded. He respected her path, though he was not a warrior by heart. Afterward, Lyra took him to her workshop. Crystals floated in the air, shaping themselves into forms as she moved her hands. Strange machines hummed, their cores glowing with life. "We are the makers of our people," Lyra said. "We build what protects, we design what heals, and we dream of what has never been. If you choose me, you will walk with creation. You will learn the ways of thought and change." Tom felt drawn to her craft. He admired how her mind worked, shaping the future from light and stone. As the sun set, Tom stood on a balcony between the sisters. The city glowed like a sea of stars below him. Myra spoke of duty and courage. Lyra spoke of invention and progress. Both voices filled his mind. Tom looked out at the endless horizon and wondered. How could he, a single human, choose between two paths of a world not his own? The night was quiet, but his heart was loud. The next morning came with golden light spread across the crystal towers. Tom rose from the small chamber given to him by the Orcs. The bed was soft, made of woven threads that glowed faintly in the dark. He had barely slept, for his mind was full of questions. Today, he felt, something important would happen. When he stepped into the city streets, he saw the life of the Orcs more clearly than before. Traders moved through the markets, carrying baskets filled with shining stones that sang when touched. Children ran through fountains of light, their laughter ringing in the air. Warriors in silver armor marched past with discipline, while builders floated crystal blocks into place, shaping new homes with care. The city was alive, both strong and graceful. Tom knew he was a guest here, but he could not forget the words of the elder. Soon he would have to choose. Myra, the protector, had shown him the strength of the warriors. Lyra, the builder, had shown him the wonders of creation. Both had given him a glimpse of their world, yet he did not fully understand what the choice would mean. Myra found him first. She stood tall, her armor polished, her eyes sharp as always. "Walk with me," she said. "There is more you must see." She led him to the edge of the city where the towers met the open fields. There stood a wall of light, wide and tall, stretching across the land like a shining river. Myra placed her hand on the wall, and the glow spread under her touch. "This is our shield," she said. "It keeps our people safe from raiders who strike from the skies. They come without warning, driven by greed. We fight them with courage, but they always return. One day, they may break through." Tom studied the wall. It hummed with power, yet he could see faint cracks where energy flickered. Myra noticed his eyes. "Yes," she said. "The shield weakens each year. We work to repair it, but the raiders grow stronger. That is why strength matters more than ever. If you choose me, I will teach you the way of battle. With your human mind and my people's weapons, you could help us stand longer." Her voice carried fire, and Tom felt her belief. She truly thought the answer was courage and blades of light. Later, as they walked back, Lyra was waiting near the workshop towers. She wore no armor, only a robe marked with glowing threads. In her hands she held a small device, a cube that floated above her palm. "Tom," she said gently, "you must see another way." She invited him into her hall again. Inside, the machines whispered with life. Floating crystals shifted into shapes, gears of light spun without touch, and strange energy pulsed in circles. She placed the cube on a table, and it opened, releasing a soft glow that spread into the air like a map of stars. "This is my design," Lyra said. "A new shield, not of walls but of moving light. It could bend, it could shift, it could grow stronger with each strike. But I cannot finish it alone. My people trust tradition more than change. They follow the old ways of war. If you choose me, you can help me prove a new path. Together we could make something that saves us forever, not just for another year." Her voice was calm but filled with deep passion. Tom looked at her and then at the cube, where light bent and flowed like water. He felt the pull of invention, the power to shape the future. The day grew long, and Tom felt torn between two worlds. He stood once more on the high balcony of the central tower. The city below glowed as the sun began to fall. Myra stood at his right, strong and steady, her hands resting on her sword of light. Lyra stood at his left, thoughtful and patient, the cube floating gently beside her. The elder came forward, his glow brighter than the rest. His voice filled the hall. "Human, the time has come. You have seen both paths. You must now decide who will guide you. The bond you form will be deep, for in our people, to walk beside one is to share purpose and trust. Will you stand with Myra, the protector, who holds to strength and honor? Or will you stand with Lyra, the builder, who seeks new ways to shape our future?" The hall grew silent. Every Arans in the chamber watched. Tom felt their eyes on him, felt the weight of a decision far greater than he had ever made before. He thought of Earth, of how humans had always needed both warriors and builders. Yet here, he was told to choose only one. His heart beat fast. He turned his eyes to Myra. She stood proud, but her gaze softened for a moment, as if silently asking for his trust. He turned to Lyra. She did not push, but her quiet eyes held a hope that was hard to ignore. Tom breathed deeply. He thought of the shield wall, the cracks that spread across it, and of the cube that glowed with promise. He thought of the warriors who stood ready without fear, and of the makers who dreamed of change. Then, with slow steps, he moved toward Myra. He placed his hand over his chest, bowing slightly as the Arans did. "I will walk with you," he said. The hall filled with a low sound, part sigh and part cheer. Myra's eyes lit with pride. She placed her hand on his shoulder, firm and sure. You will not regret this, she said. Lyra stood still. For a moment, her glow dimmed, though she forced a small smile. Then it is done, she whispered. She turned away, hiding the sadness that touched her face. The elder raised his hands. The choice has been made. The bond begins. The hall echoed with light as the Arons bowed. Tom stood beside Myra, feeling the strength of her presence. Yet in his heart, a quiet weight pressed on him. He had chosen, but he could not forget the look in Lyra's eyes. As night fell over the city, Tom lay awake in his chamber. Myra had welcomed him with honor, yet his thoughts wandered to the workshop full of machines and to the sister who believed in a future no one else would. He had made his choice, but he wondered if it was truly the right one. The days after Tom's choice passed quickly. Myra stayed close to him, guiding him through the training grounds and showing him the way of the Arons warriors. He learned to hold the glowing blades they used, to stand steady in lines of defense, and to move with balance. Myra was patient but firm, always reminding him that discipline was the heart of strength. At first, Tom struggled. The blades were heavier than they looked, and the training drills left his arms sore. The Arons warriors moved with perfect unity, their steps timed like a single heartbeat. Tom stumbled often, but Myra never lost faith in him. You learn as a human, she said one evening as they rested on the field. Not as fast as us, but with more heart. That heart is what gives you strength. Do not forget it. Her words gave him courage. He wanted to honor her trust. Yet, each night when he returned to his chamber, his thoughts drifted elsewhere. He remembered the glow of the cube in Lyra's hands and the sadness in her eyes when he had chosen Myra. He told himself the choice was made, but something inside whispered that the story was not finished. One night, long after the city lights had dimmed, Tom heard a soft sound at his door. He rose from his bed and opened it. Standing there was Lyra. Her glow was softer than usual, and her eyes looked tired but determined. "Tom," she whispered, "walk with me. There is something you must see." He hesitated, but her voice carried a weight he could not ignore. He followed her through quiet streets, past towers that shimmered faintly under the moon. The city slept, but they moved like shadows through the halls until they reached her workshop. Inside, the machines stirred awake as she entered, as if they recognized her presence. Crystals floated into the air, and energy pulsed softly through the walls. Lyra led Tom to a corner where a great device stood covered by a shimmering cloth. She pulled the cloth away, revealing a frame of light and metal, half-finished, its core glowing faintly. "This is what I could not show before," she said. "The new shield. It is not just a wall. It can bend, it can change, it can heal itself when struck. With it, the raiders would never break through. But Myra and the others do not believe in it. They hold to their swords and their towers. They do not see the danger that is coming." Tom stepped closer. The device looked alive, as if it breathed. Strange symbols moved across its surface, and inside its core swirled a storm of light. "What danger?" Tom asked. Lyra lowered her voice. "The raiders you have seen are not the worst. They are scouts. I have studied their signals. I have seen their true fleet in the deep sky. A storm is coming, greater than anything we have faced. Myra's warriors are strong, but even they will fall if we face that storm with only swords and walls." Her words sank deep into Tom's mind. He remembered the cracks in the shield wall Myra had shown him. He remembered the way the raiders struck without fear. If Lyra was right, the Arons were not ready. "Why do you tell me this?" he asked. Because you are not bound by our traditions, she said. You see with human eyes. You can help me finish this. I know the design, but my people will not give me the resources. They say it is waste, that the old ways are enough. But I feel in my heart they are wrong. And I believe you can make the others see. If you stand with me, if you give me your mind and your courage, we may save them all. Tom looked at her. He saw no pride in her face, only fear mixed with hope. She was not asking for glory. She was asking for survival. His chest felt heavy. He had chosen Myra, yet here stood Lyra, offering him a truth that could not be ignored. To stand with her would mean breaking trust. To stay silent would mean risking disaster. You want me to go against Myra? He asked quietly. Lyra shook her head. Not against her. With her. She will never listen to me, but she may listen to you. You are the bridge. You are the one who can bring two paths together. Tom felt her words cut through him. He thought of Earth, of how humans had survived not by choosing one way but by mixing many. Warriors, builders, dreamers, leaders together they made the strength of his people. Perhaps here, too, that was the answer. Still, he could not speak it aloud. Myra trusted him, and he could not betray that trust so easily. Let me think, he said at last. Lyra nodded. She covered the device again, though its light still shone faintly through the cloth. Do not wait too long, she whispered. The storm comes closer each day. When Tom returned to his chamber, the night felt heavier than before. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling of crystal. His mind raced with questions. Myra believed in strength and courage. Lyra believed in invention and change. Both paths had truth. But could they be joined, or would the choice tear the city apart? The next day, Tom trained again with Myra. She corrected his stance, guided his strikes, and praised his growing skill. Yet he noticed how tired the warriors seemed, how often their eyes turned to the shield wall in the distance. Even Myra, for all her pride, glanced at it more than once. Do you think the wall will hold forever? Tom asked her suddenly. Myra paused, then answered firmly. It will hold as long as we stand to defend it. That is our way. But Tom heard a small hesitation in her voice, and he wondered if deep inside she knew the truth Lyra had spoken. That evening, as the sun sank, Tom stood once more on the balcony of the central tower. The city glowed below, alive and peaceful, yet he could not shake the image of the storm fleet Lyra had described. He imagined dark ships filling the sky, fire raining upon the shining towers, warriors falling, children crying. He clenched his fists. He had come here as a traveler, not a leader, yet now he stood between two sisters, two visions of the future, and a people who might soon face ruin. The weight of his choice pressed harder than ever before. The hidden truth was now his burden, and he knew the days of peace were running short. The days grew heavier for Tom. He trained with Myra by day, his body learning the rhythm of the warriors, his hands growing steadier with the glowing blade. Yet his nights were restless, filled with thoughts of Lyra's warning. He often woke before dawn, staring out at the faint light of the shield wall and wondering how long it could hold. Myra did not notice at first. She believed Tom's quiet mood came from the burden of training. She praised his progress and spoke proudly of how quickly he was learning. But Tom felt the growing weight between them. He wanted to tell her the truth about Lyra's device, yet fear held him back. He did not want to break her trust. One afternoon, as the warriors gathered on the field, Myra called Tom forward. "Today," she said, "you will lead a line. You will guide others as we move." The warriors stood in rows, their glowing blades ready. Tom felt nervous but obeyed. He shouted the command as Myra had taught him, and the warriors moved in step. At first, he stumbled over the words, but soon his voice grew steady. By the end, the line moved as one under his command. Myra clapped him on the shoulder. "You see," she said, smiling. "You are not just a guest now. You are one of us." Her pride warmed him, but the warmth soon turned into guilt. For in his mind, he still heard Lyra's voice, still saw the half-finished device glowing under its cloth. He could not escape the thought that strength alone might not be enough. That evening, Lyra came to him again. She found him sitting near the edge of the balcony, watching the sunset. Her steps were soft, her glow dimmed by worry. "Tom," she said quietly, "you must act soon. The signals grow stronger. I have seen new patterns in the sky. The raiders are gathering. If we do not prepare, the city will fall." Tom turned to her, his voice low. "And if I tell Myra? If she learns you have been building this device in secret? She will see it as betrayal." Lyra shook her head. "She will see it as weakness. Myra believes the sword can answer all. But you know better. You come from a people who use both sword and tool. You must help her see, even if she does not wish to." Tom sighed. His chest felt torn in two. He admired Myra's courage, yet he respected Lyra's vision. He wanted to bring them together, but each step he imagined seemed full of risk. The conflict soon showed itself. One night, during a gathering in the Great Hall, the elder spoke of the raiders. Scouts had been seen near the outer moons. The shield wall still stood, but its glow flickered more often. The city murmured with unease. Myra stepped forward, her voice strong. "We will stand ready. Our blades will cut through any raider who dares set foot on our land. We need only courage, not new tricks. Our ancestors fought this way, and we will honor them." The hall roared with approval from many warriors. They trusted her. They loved her strength. But then Lyra rose. Her glow brightened as she spoke. "Honor is not enough when the storm is greater than before. The raiders will not come with small ships this time. I have seen the signs. They will bring a fleet. If we face them with only what we have now, the wall will fall and our people will burn. We need new shields, new power, or we will not survive." The hall grew tense. Some nodded at her words, but most looked uneasy. The Orcs feared change, and they trusted their warriors more than builders. Myra's eyes burned. "You spread fear, sister. You weaken our people with doubt." "I offer truth," Lyra replied. "If truth brings fear, it is because the danger is real." The two sisters faced each other, the air between them sharp with anger. Tom stood frozen. He wanted to speak, to calm them, but his voice caught. He felt every eye in the hall upon the sisters, waiting to see which path would win. At last, the elder raised his hand. "Enough," he said. "Both paths will be heard, but the council will decide. For now, we prepare as we always have. The shield wall will hold." The hall broke apart, but the tension lingered. Myra left in silence, her jaw tight. Lyra turned to Tom as the crowd dispersed. "Do you see now?" she asked. "They will not listen unless you stand with me. You are not bound by their fear. You can bridge the gap. Without you, they will choose tradition and fall." Tom's heart pounded. He wanted to believe her, but he could not betray Myra so openly. The days after the council meeting were filled with unease. Myra pushed the warriors harder, training longer and with more fire. Tom followed her, but he saw how the warriors' eyes grew weary. At night, he slipped away to Lyra's workshop, where she showed him new designs, asking for his help to finish them. He moved between two worlds, caught in the middle of a storm that had not yet arrived. The conflict grew inside him until he could no longer hide it. One evening, Myra found him near the training field, his blade resting at his side. She studied his face and frowned. "You are hiding something," she said. Tom froze. "Tell me," Myra pressed. "What is it? Why do you look at me with guilt in your eyes?" He struggled for words. "I have seen Lyra's work. She believes the wall will not hold. She believes the raiders will come stronger than before. She wants me to help her." Myra's face darkened. "And do you believe her?" Tom swallowed hard. "I believe both of you. I believe strength is needed, but I also believe new ideas matter. On Earth, we survived by using both. That is why I think we must find a way to stand together." For a long moment, Myra said nothing. Her hands clenched at her side. Finally, she spoke, her voice cold. "You chose me, Tom. Not her. Do not forget your bond. If you stand with both, you stand with neither." She turned and walked away, leaving him standing alone. Tom's chest ached. He had hoped to bring them together, but now he feared he had only widened the gap. The city around him glowed bright as ever, yet he felt the shadows of war creeping closer. The conflict was no longer only between Myra and Lyra. It now lived within his own heart, tearing him apart with every passing hour. The sky was clear when the first warning came. Tom had been standing with Myra on the training field, practicing the steady movements of the warrior lines. The shield wall in the distance glowed as always, humming with soft energy. The city behind them was alive with laughter and work. Yet the peace broke when a deep alarm echoed across the towers. A bright flare streaked across the horizon. Then another. Soon the sky filled with burning trails, like falling stars. The warriors froze for a moment, then Myra shouted, "To arms! The raiders have come!" The city erupted in sound. Bells rang, voices shouted, and warriors rushed to their stations. Tom ran beside Myra toward the edge of the city. As they reached the high wall of light, he saw the truth. Ships filled the sky. Not small crafts like before, but massive vessels that blotted out the sun. Their shapes were sharp, like blades of shadow, and their engines roared as they descended. The first blast struck the shield wall. The air shook, the ground trembled, and the glowing barrier rippled under the force. Cracks of light spread across it. The warriors raised their blades and stood ready. Myra's voice rang like steel. "Hold your ground. The wall will stand. Do not falter." The raiders sent waves of fire against the barrier. For a time, the wall held. But Tom could see the cracks spreading wider. The sound of strain filled the air like thunder. Lyra was right, Tom whispered to himself. Another blast struck, and part of the wall shattered. A gap opened, and through it the raiders poured. Dark figures in heavy armor dropped to the ground, their weapons glowing with red fire. The warriors of the Orcs charged forward, blades clashing against the invaders. The air filled with light and heat. Myra led the front line. She moved like a storm, her blade cutting through raider after raider. Her voice rose above the chaos, commanding her warriors to hold steady. Tom followed close, striking where he could, though his skill was not equal to theirs. He fought with more heart than grace, driven by fear and determination. But no matter how hard they fought, the raiders kept coming. Their numbers were greater than anyone had expected. Their weapons tore through the ground, their ships rained fire from above. The shining towers of the city began to burn. In the midst of the battle, Tom saw Lyra rushing toward him. Her robe was torn, her hands marked with smoke, but her eyes burned with urgency. She carried the cube in her arms, its glow pulsing wildly. "Tom," she shouted, "we cannot hold them this way. The device is ready, but I cannot finish it alone. You must come now." Tom's heart pounded. He looked at Myra. She was fighting fiercely, her blade flashing with light. Her eyes met his for a brief moment, filled with fire. She did not speak, but her look was clear. She wanted him to stay by her side. He turned to Lyra. She held the cube out to him, her voice desperate. "If we do not finish this, the city will fall." Myra's courage is strong, but courage cannot stop a storm. "We must act." Tom stood frozen for a breath. Then another blast shook the ground, throwing warriors to their knees. The shield wall crumbled further, its glow dimming. The raiders pushed deeper into the city. "Go," Myra shouted at him suddenly. "If she can save us, then help her. I will hold them here." Her voice cut through his doubt. For the first time, Myra had acknowledged Lyra's path. Tom nodded and ran with Lyra. Together they raced through burning streets, past warriors and civilians fleeing the destruction. Towers fell behind them, and the sky rained fire. At last, they reached her workshop. Inside, the great device stood uncovered, its frame glowing with unstable light. Energy cracked around it, shaking the air. Crystals floated wildly, and the machine pulsed like a living heart. "It is nearly finished," Lyra said breathlessly. "But it needs a mind to guide it, a mind that is not bound by our ways. That is why you must help me." Tom stepped forward. "Tell me what to do." Lyra placed his hands on the control sphere. The moment he touched it, a surge of energy rushed into him. His vision filled with streams of light and patterns he did not understand. The device was not like any human machine. It did not respond to numbers or commands. It responded to thought, to instinct. "Do not fight it," Lyra said. "Guide it as you would guide your own hand. Think of what you need, and it will answer." Tom closed his eyes. He thought of the city outside, of Myra and the warriors fighting for every breath, of the children he had seen laughing in the streets. He thought of Earth, of how his people had always survived by building as well as fighting. He thought of hope. The device answered. The unstable glow steadied. The crystals locked into place. The core shone brighter, rising like a star. Lyra worked beside him, her hands flying over the frame, shaping the final pieces. Together they pulled the machine into life. Outside, the raiders pressed deeper. Myra and the warriors were falling back, their blades dim under the storm of fire. The sky was filled with shadows. "Now," Lyra shouted. Tom pushed his thoughts into the sphere. Light burst from the device, rushing outward like a wave. It spread across the city, bending, shaping, forming into a new shield. This shield did not stand still. It moved like water, wrapping around the towers, flowing where the attacks struck, growing stronger each time it was hit. The raiders fired again, but their blasts melted into the flowing light. Their weapons could not pierce it. The shield grew brighter, feeding on their strikes. The city roared with hope. Myra looked up from the battlefield and saw the new shield rise. For a moment, her eyes widened with awe. Then she smiled, fierce and proud, and drove her blade forward with renewed strength. The raiders faltered. Their fire slowed. Some ships broke apart as the shield bent their blasts back against them. The fleet above wavered, its shadow thinning as ships began to retreat. The invasion that had seemed unstoppable was breaking. Inside the workshop, Tom fell to his knees, his chest heaving. The device's glow steadied, holding strong. Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder, her face filled with relief. "You did it," she whispered. "No," Tom said between breaths. "We did it. All of us." The battle outside raged for a little longer, but soon the raiders were forced to flee. Their great fleet turned back into the sky, broken and defeated. The city still burned in places, but it still stood. The people of the Orcs had survived. When the last of the raider ships vanished into the stars, Myra entered the workshop, her armor scorched, her blade dimmed, but her eyes shining. She looked at Tom and Lyra, then at the glowing device. "You saved us," she said simply. Tom met her gaze, unsure of what she felt. But for the first time, he saw no anger between the sisters. Only respect. The invasion had come, and though the city was scarred, the people still stood tall. Yet Tom knew this was not the end. The storm had only begun, and now the Orcs would have to decide how they would walk forward with strength, with invention, or with both. The morning after the invasion, the city of the Orcs was quiet but not peaceful. Smoke rose from shattered towers, and small fires glimmered in the streets. Warriors tended to the wounded, while builders worked to repair the shield wall and damaged homes. The great device that Tom and Lyra had completed pulsed with light in the center of the city. Its energy was steady, yet the sisters knew that one success did not guarantee the future. Myra approached Tom first. Her armor was scorched, her blade dull from battle, but her eyes were calm. "You did well," she said simply. "You did more than I imagined any human could. You saved lives today." Tom felt the weight of her words. "We saved lives," he corrected gently. "Together. All of us. You and Lyra. Everyone who fought." Myra studied him. For the first time, there was no fire of pride or anger in her gaze. Only understanding. "You think differently than we do," she said. "You see what we cannot always see ourselves. That is why we survived." At that moment, Lyra joined them, her robe still smudged from dust and energy. The sisters faced each other, and for the first time, they did not seem divided. Tom could feel a quiet tension between them, but it was softer, filled with the possibility of unity. "You were right," Lyra said quietly, glancing at Myra. "Strength alone would not have been enough." "And you were right," Myra replied. "Change alone cannot protect us. Only together do we survive." Tom felt a relief he had not known he could feel. The sisters had begun to see what he had tried to explain. Courage and creation, strength and invention, both were necessary. But the lesson was not over. The city still faced challenges. Raiders might return, stronger than before, and other threats lingered beyond the stars. Tom knew that this moment, though victorious, was only the beginning of what the Orcs would need to survive. He spent the morning with Lyra, examining the device they had built. Crystals floated in the air, adjusting themselves to the subtle guidance of his mind. Energy flowed through the machine like a river, bending and shaping to protect the city. It is beautiful, Tom said. But it is more than a machine. It is alive, in its own way. It listens to your mind, your thoughts. Lyra smiled. It was meant to be that way. The old ways were strong, but they could not respond. This responds. It thinks. It adapts. You gave it life with your mind, and it will protect our people. Tom nodded, feeling the gravity of her words. Human ingenuity had combined with Aron's power, and together they had created something that neither species could have achieved alone. Myra joined them again. She placed her hand on the device, feeling the hum of energy. I do not fully understand it, she admitted, but I see its purpose. I see that we must grow, not just fight. Your mind, human, has shown us that. Tom looked at both sisters. You do not need to fight each other, he said. You are stronger together. Myra protects, Lyra builds, and together you make something greater. That is how humans survive. That is how we succeed. By combining courage and thought, action and invention. Myra and Lyra both nodded slowly. For the first time, Tom felt the weight of division lift. They had begun to trust each other, and in doing so, they had begun to trust him. The city needed more than just the shield. Buildings had been damaged, supplies destroyed, and the people frightened. Tom suggested a plan. We can rebuild faster if we divide the tasks, he said. Myra, you lead the warriors to secure the city and guard against any returning raiders. Lyra, you lead the builders and inventors to repair the shield and create new defenses. If we coordinate, we can finish more in one day than we could in a week. The sisters agreed. Orders went out. Warriors formed patrols while builders and engineers began repairing damaged towers and reinforcing the shield wall. Tom moved between them, guiding, advising, and helping. His human perspective allowed him to see where efficiency could improve, where strength could support creation, and where invention could support strength. By midday, the city had begun to feel alive again. The fires were smaller, smoke less thick, and the people started to emerge from hiding. Children returned to small glowing fields, and traders opened their stalls once more. Tom watched Myra instruct a group of warriors on formation while Lyra helped a team of young builders adjust a floating crystal. The two sisters moved in balance, their actions complementary. Later, as the sun began to set, Tom took a moment to stand on a high balcony overlooking the city. Myra joined him, her armor cleaned but still bearing marks of the battle. Lyra followed, carrying her small cube of energy. You see now, Tom said softly, that strength and invention are not separate. They can work together. Your people will survive if you combine both. Myra looked at him with respect. I see it now. I see that courage alone is not enough. We must trust what Lyra creates. We must trust you. Lyra smiled at him, her glow warm and steady. And I see that ideas alone are not enough. We must stand and fight when needed. We must trust Myra. We must trust you. Tom felt a quiet joy. For a long time, he had carried the burden of choosing between them. Now, he realized, he had not truly chosen one over the other. He had helped them find the human answer, unity. As night fell over the city, the lights of the towers reflected in the sky like stars come down to earth. Tom knew the battles were not over, but the city was stronger than before, not only because of the machine, but because of the bond that had formed between the sisters and the human who had walked among them. He understood now that his role was more than a visitor or a fighter. He was a bridge between worlds, a link between courage and invention, between strength and thought. Humanity had always thrived by combining paths, and now, on this distant world, that lesson had been shared. The sisters stood beside him, silent but united, watching the city glow. Myra's hand brushed lightly against Lyra's, a sign of trust that had been absent before. Tom smiled, knowing that the true victory was not only the shield, but the understanding that would shape the future. In that quiet moment, he felt hope for the first time since the invasion began. The human answer was simple, yet powerful: unity, courage, and creativity together could overcome even the greatest storms. The city of the Orcs had survived the Great Invasion, but its streets were still scarred with battle. Towers leaned at strange angles, smoke rose from small fires, and the air smelled of burned crystal and dust. Yet among the destruction, a new light had taken root. The shield device hummed steadily at the city's center, a symbol of both invention and courage. Tom walked through the streets with Myra and Lyra. Warriors moved beside builders, and together they began repairing the damage. The city had regained its rhythm, a rhythm born from both strength and creativity. Tom's heart felt lighter than it had since his arrival. "Look at them," Myra said quietly, her eyes following a group of young warriors assisting with repairs. "They are not afraid. They understand now that strength and thought together are stronger than either alone." Lyra smiled beside him, her glow steady. "And they are learning from each other. Warriors helping builders, builders guiding warriors. They are becoming something new, something greater than before." Tom nodded. He had spent months watching these two sisters guide their people, witnessing how pride and tradition could sometimes blind them, and how trust and understanding could heal what was broken. He had feared choosing between them, but now he saw that the choice had not been about one or the other. It had been about showing them that both paths were necessary. The sisters led him to the central plaza where the device stood. Energy flowed outward, bending light and creating a gentle, protective glow around the city. People gathered, many of them staring in awe at what had been created. Some whispered to each other, others bowed in gratitude to the human who had guided the device to life. Myra placed a hand on the glowing frame. "This is more than a machine," she said softly. "It is a bond. It is proof that our people can grow, that we can combine the past and the future and create something that lasts." Lyra nodded. "It is a symbol of what we can do together. Fear and tradition do not need to separate us. Courage and invention do not need to compete. They can coexist, and through that coexistence, our people can thrive." Tom looked at them both and felt a quiet warmth in his chest. For weeks, he had feared the burden of his choice. He had thought he might break Myra's trust or disappoint Lyra. But now, standing between them, he realized that the human gift he had brought was the ability to unite paths that seemed opposed. Humanity thrived because it could build bridges, not walls. A cheer rose from the gathered citizens of the Orcs. Children ran toward the device, laughing and pointing at the flowing lights. Warriors nodded at the builders who guided them. Tradespeople smiled at soldiers who cleared rubble. The city was alive again, not merely surviving, but growing stronger with each moment. Myra turned to Tom, her expression softer than he had ever seen. "I misjudged the value of change," she admitted. "I thought only courage and strength could protect our people. I see now that Lyra's vision is as vital as my own. And I see that your guidance made this possible." Lyra placed a hand lightly on Myra's shoulder. "And I misjudged the value of tradition," she said. "I thought only new ideas could save us. I see now that your courage, your experience, is equally important. We were both right, but only together are we complete." The sisters looked at each other, and for the first time, Tom saw the bond between them as unbreakable. They were no longer rivals, no longer divided by pride or duty. They were partners, joined by respect, by trust, and by the lessons learned through human insight. Tom felt the weight of their gaze turn toward him. Myra spoke first. "Human, you have shown us the way to balance what we feared to combine. You have given us more than a machine. You have given us unity." Lyra's smile deepened. "You have been the bridge we needed. You have shown us that we can trust each other, that our people can trust both courage and invention. For that, we honor you." Tom shook his head modestly. "I only helped where I could. The real strength comes from both of you and your people. Humans can guide, but you must walk the path yourselves. You have learned it today." The sisters nodded. Tom felt a sense of relief. He had worried about the burden of choice, but now he realized that the choice was never between them. The choice was to unite them, and in doing so, he had ensured the survival of the city and the people he had come to care for. As the sun set, the city glowed in the twilight. The device's energy flowed across the walls, through the streets, and into every corner of the Orcs' homes. Its light was steady, a new rhythm of life that blended invention with courage. People paused to watch, some whispering prayers, others singing songs of hope. Tom walked beside the sisters, and together they looked out at the horizon. The raiders might return, but now the city had a new power. It had courage, invention, and unity. It had a bond stronger than any weapon. Myra placed her hand on Lyra's shoulder. "We will move forward together," she said. "Not as rivals, but as sisters, as partners in protecting our people." Lyra nodded. "And we will continue to build and defend together. We will teach our people to value both strength and thought, and we will show them that unity is the greatest power of all." Tom smiled. He had come as a traveler, a visitor from a distant world, but now he understood his place. He was not here to lead, not here to command, but to remind these people that cooperation and understanding could overcome even the greatest challenges. Humanity had always thrived by combining paths, and here, on this distant world, that lesson had been shared. The city was quieting as night settled. Stars reflected in the crystal towers, and the light of the device reached into the skies, a protective glow over the people below. Tom knew the path ahead would not be easy. Challenges would come, storms would test their strength, and decisions would need to be made. But now, the city was prepared not because one path had been chosen over another, but because both had been embraced. Myra and Lyra turned to him together. "Thank you," Myra said. "Thank you," Lyra added. Tom nodded, feeling a quiet pride. "No thanks needed. We all did this together." For the first time since he had arrived, Tom felt at peace. The sisters walked forward, side by side, with their people behind them. They were no longer divided, and the city glowed with hope. Human guidance had helped them see that courage and invention could coexist, that strength and creativity could unite. The future of the Orcs was brighter because of it, and humanity had left its mark in a way that could never be erased. As the night sky shimmered above, the three of them stood together on the balcony, looking out at the city they had saved. Myra, Lyra, and Tom, a human and two alien sisters, shared a quiet understanding. Their bond was no longer fragile. It was strong, tested by fire, shaped by choices, and strengthened by trust. The city would grow, the people would flourish, and the sisters would walk forward together. Tom had learned that sometimes the greatest victories were not in battle alone, but in the hearts and minds of those who chose to stand united. And for the first time in a long journey, he felt truly at home among the stars.